And we're back. Dynamics on the hardwood, just like that. I'm Mozzie. That's Live Zone. We're giving takes back and forth of how we feel about the NBA. Today, we're talking about a trade that went down between the Toronto Raptors and the New York Knicks. I'm curious, Live Zone, what are your thoughts on the trade? What do you think of the trade? And how do you think it's going to impact the trade deadline moving forward?
All right, so before we get into all that, I just want to say that RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, the six man for the New York Knicks, as well as their starting small forward, got traded for the Toronto Raptors small forward in OG Anunoby. It was a swap deal, happened really quickly. All the bets got turned off in that game, if you didn't notice. I think it's a bad thing for the New York Knicks at the moment. It could end up being a good thing for both teams. Emmanuel Quickly ends up becoming a starter where he belongs. He got like 15 to 18 points in his first game as a Toronto Raptor. RJ Barrett goes home to Toronto where he wanted to play anyways. So that's another thing. So he's on a 4-year deal with the Toronto Raptors. Here's where it gets a little bit tricky, right? We have OG Anunoby going to the New York Knicks. Yes, you get a spot up shooter. Yes, you get a defensive presence that you necessarily didn't have with RJ Barrett. But the thing is that he's on an expiring deal. It's a now or never thing unless you go out and you sign him in the free agency, which the New York Knicks do want to do, but the problem is that the New York Knicks want to get him on a discount. OG Anunoby is looking for $40 million for his contract. They're trying to get him at like $25 million. So we shall see what happens. All right, but the things that is happening, the full cycle for the trade deadline, what this means, New York Knicks can obviously go after another star. They have 8 first-round draft picks in the next 8 years. They could go after a guy that's on another expiring deal, such as Donovan Mitchell, to go all in for a championship, right? Then after that, we also have more trades coming out of Toronto. Toronto is trying to trade Pascal Siakam to the likes of the Warriors, the Hawks, and the Indiana Pacers. So there are a lot of options there. You get a lot of out of it for Pascal Siakam, maybe a few draft picks, and you finesse another team just like how you finesse the New York Knicks for OG Anunoby. And then after that, Zach LaVine, DeJounte Murray, Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, all being names that are unhappy or want to be traded or want to leave their team. Kevin Durant is unhappy with the Phoenix Suns and how their season is going. Then you have Donovan Mitchell that has been progressively unhappy throughout the year. DeJounte Murray is being linked to the Los Angeles Lakers and to the New York Knicks. And Zach LaVine is being linked to the Philadelphia 76ers. You best believe that the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics are going to look to make a trade. Philly's going to try to get a third star. Boston's going to try to get a bench presence. So there's a lot of things that could happen in this trade deadline, a lot of things that could change before February 8th in a lot of teams. And the teams that are being linked are all playoff teams, which is something that you don't necessarily see in a trade deadline. You're more expected to see a team that is not doing good go into the trade deadline, trading away their pieces for draft picks. So to see teams that are already going to make the playoffs looking to get better, it's just going to be a recipe for a great NBA playoffs.
Do you have any trade that you see or is in the works or might possibly come to fruition that you have your money on to happen before the NBA trade deadline hits?
So the things that I'm looking at right now is Donovan Mitchell being traded to the New York Knicks for multiple draft picks and a few pieces, probably like a Josh Hart or another bench presence. Another thing that I'm seeing is DeJounte Murray getting traded for D'Angelo Russell and Turanian Prince and maybe a pick. But then again, everybody wants Austin Reeves, so maybe it won't happen. And then the other thing that I'm seeing is the likes of the trade that happened this year with the 76ers. Those pieces could end up being traded, or a few of those pieces could end up being traded for Zach LaVine, but that is more unlikely because it's been said that the Philadelphia 76ers want to keep their cap room and want to get a star that can play now and that is not injured.
Do you think KD goes anywhere before the trade deadline?
As of right now, the only thing that's known about Kevin Durant is that he's unhappy with the Phoenix Suns. There has been no trade that has been offered for Kevin Durant or towards Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant hasn't said that he wants to leave the team. He just says that he's frustrated. I'd say that you give it another year, and then after that, see what happens with Kevin Durant on the Phoenix Suns, or wait till the offseason. I don't think Kevin Durant is going to be traded, but a thing that could be a mix-up trade is Pascal Siakam being traded for the likes of Obi Toppin, Bruce Brown, other players like that. Matherin is another guy that you could look out for. Toronto Raptors are going to try to get a few pieces for Pascal Siakam. I think you have more of a chance of that happening than to see Kevin Durant leave the Phoenix Suns.
There you have it. A little breakdown of the trade happening between Toronto and New York and what we think is going to happen before the trade deadline. That's Livezone giving you some expert analysts, analytics, analyzing, doing it all, getting it to you. And that's what he does best. That's why he's
Yes,
on
sir.
the team.
Yes, sir.
That's been part one of Dynamics on the Hardwood. We're going to move over to part two of Dynamics on the Hardwood, which is going to be about the Lakers and what's going on. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Dynamics on the Hardwood, part two, talking about the Lakers and what is going on in LA. Besides the craziness out on the streets, there's something crazy happening in their arena too. 3-8 since the in-season tournament win. Livezone, I got a question for you. What is going on in LA with the Lakers, and is it red flags everywhere?
So, yes, the LA Lakers are in a lot of trouble. We're going to go through a lot of things here right now. So, I just want to say, for once, I'm not going to be talking bad about LeBron James. LeBron James is not part of the problem in LA right now. In
As you
fact,
should. As you should.
in fact, nobody on the LA Lakers can score except for LeBron and Anthony Davis. So I will say, ever since Anthony Davis has taken more of a workload than LeBron James has, it has been going downhill. LeBron James has not been the main scorer. Anthony Davis is going off for 40 and 10 a night. It's looking good for the two stars, but after that, here's the problem. They do not have a third option. We don't see a third option. Austin Reeves is doing a good job, but he's a fourth option at best, right? So going into a little bit of the LA Lakers that we are seeing right now this year, they are 20th in offensive rating out of 30 teams. That is awful. So you're telling me 2/3 of the NBA are better offensive rating than the LA Lakers right now? All right, so let's look at the defensive rating a little bit. 21st in the NBA defensive rating. All right. D'Angelo Russell, which was supposed to be your third option, is averaging 14 points. That looks good until you look at the last 3 games where he had 5 points, 0 points, and 0 points in the last 3 games, right? Then we go over to Terranian Prince, another key guy that you got in the off season, averaging 10 points. That doesn't look so bad until you look at the numbers, and he had 9 points last game. He had 15 points, which is wow, that's good. And then after that, he had 0 points in the third to last game. So it's looking like nobody else can score. Every team that wants to make a deal with the Los Angeles Lakers wants Austin Reeves, and they're reluctant to give him away because he's the only one that's producing other than LeBron and Anthony Davis. Then after that, you also look at the in-season tournament and how good they were doing compared to what they're doing now. They are 3-8 in the last 11 games since the tournament, and then after that, nobody is doing their job, and they look like they aren't even trying. It looks like they're trying to get into the play-in tournament, and it looks like they're not even trying to get into the playoffs before that. It's looking like to me that they're setting up a storyline where they're having the Oklahoma City Thunder make the NBA playoffs. They're going to torch through the Western Conference. Then LeBron's going to make the playoffs throughout the throughout the play-in tournament, and then he is going to torch the rest of the Western Conference. And then you have LeBron James going against the team that he beat for his first NBA title, where then the Thunder then get revenge and make it to the finals. That's kind of what it's looking like to me. It looks like they aren't trying. It looks like they're not doing their job. It looks like they're kind of just like there. They're not. It looks like they're days from the in-season tournament, and it looks like they're done. It looks like they're like, all right, we already won something. We're done for the rest of the year. I don't know how you feel about it, but to me, it's looking like the LA Lakers are going to make a few moves. Like we said, DeJounte Murray is being linked to them. Zach LaVine is another option that could be linked to them if the Philly deal doesn't work out. It looks like that they're going to amp up with new players and they're going to be better. But until then, they're waiting until the end of the trade deadline to even try to win games.
I completely agree with you. I think LeBron definitely needs the third option, especially getting later in his age. You can't hold LeBron and Anthony Davis accountable for every single thing that's wrong with this team. You can't just put it on their shoulders. I don't think there's much more that Anthony Davis and LeBron can do. Anthony Davis averaging double-double every single game. LeBron is 38 and going out there playing better than these 25-year-old cats. He's almost guaranteed 24, 5, and 5 for sure on any given night. I mean, that's just LeBron. But, I mean, diving deeper than that, I don't think there's another gear for the Lakers squad that they currently have. And if they don't make a deal by the deadline, they're going to be dead in the water. They're a fifth. I've said this on here before. They're a 500 team right now with no upside. And the Golden State Warriors are a 500 team with a tremendous upside with Klay Thompson shooting 1 for 7 or going 0 for 11 from the field, and they're still 500 compared to AD and LeBron going for double doubles and triple doubles, and them still being 500. That's a problem. That means the team around you is that bad. That bad. You need to make some moves before the trade deadline. I don't think they're really I think LeBron every season is holding his body for the playoffs because that's just what he does. I think AD is just showing up and doing his job for a paycheck that he gets because he's a big person and is good at basketball because that's what he does through his career. He's not a superstar. He's somebody very gifted with his abilities, and that's it. And then looking at the rest of the Lakers, who do you have? Nobody. I don't think there's nothing on this team that's inspiring to me. Austin Reeves is a glimpse of hope, but I think you need to use that to get better and get better role players. I do think a Zach LaVine would be a nice addition to this team if they could get that. They need one or two more players to even make it into the conversation for an NBA championship. I definitely think if they got 3, they'd be really close to talking about who's going to win it all. But I think the Lakers, as of right now, are dead in the water, destined to be in the play-in tournament and hopefully win the play-in tournament. And like you said, hopefully maybe it's a dream scenario and dream fairy tale storyline where LeBron has been planning this since the beginning of the season, mapping analytically the lines and who's going to play who and who's going to end up where. If it is that amazing for LeBron, but is that really how you want to go about making it in this NBA? I don't really think that's the way that he plans on doing it. I think he'd want to be, if he could, he'd want to be in the playoffs, in the top 8, working for it through that way, guaranteed when it comes towards the end, so he could maybe rest a few games before the playoffs as well. But that's me. I don't know what's going through his head. I just know the Lakers need to change something on this team, player-wise, before the trade deadline hits. Otherwise, it's nothing.
Yeah, so for me, what I would do is I would keep Austin Reeves. I would make him your third option. Then after that, the Lakers, How did they win the championship before? They had two big men. They had Dwight Howard and they had Anthony Davis, right? So what I would do is I would go trade for Andre Drummond. I would go because you can get him for a cheap price. You can trade a guy like Gabe Vincent and Terranian Prince for him and still keep D'Lo in the deal. So then after that, your team now looks like D'Angelo Russell. You have you have Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis at the 4 where he belongs, and Andre Drummond at the 5. Another thing that you could end up doing is you could trade D'Angelo Russell and a first or second round draft pick for Alex Caruso. Get Alex Caruso back. So then after that, your team now looks like Alex Caruso, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Andre Drummond. There's a lot of things that you could do as a LA Lakers team. You could go big and go get your Zach LaVine guy, get rid of Austin Reeves, deplete your team. Or you could, tweak a few things here and there, put the pieces where you need to put them, and hopefully that works out. I think if it was up to me, I would tweak. I wouldn't go big because if you look at the teams right now, going big means that you're going home because the injuries happen and players don't want to play. They want to just sit out their contracts, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. The thing that I'm looking at is you need to go get role players the same way that the Boston Celtics are going to get, and you need to get reliable players. So we shall see what happens, but the LA Lakers are in trouble, and they're going to be in trouble and probably until February 8th.
Time will tell. Time tells all. We will see with the season progressing, the trade deadline coming up sooner than you think. That's Live Zone's take on the LA Lakers situation in LA. Anything for the people before we chuck it up to the Live 5?
Just stay tuned for more because we're going to be coming with some heat in the next few weeks. We got a few more podcasts coming out, and we're just going to keep on rolling.
Special guests, special sponsorships, special effects. Special is in store for this year, 2024. Happy New Year again from all of us at Live Zone Sports, TCN, Mazzi, X behind the camera, and Live Zone himself.